Good evening. Happy Wednesday. This week is really exciting and important. I know I say that like every week, but we're going over what you should offer on a house because it's a way more complex than you would think. So, there are a number of terms that come into play. It's not just price, but for the sake of this video, this live, this meeting, whatever we want to call it. Thanks, you guys who show up week in, week out and listen to me talk. But we're just going to focus on price because the market is weird still and pricing is really important and what you offer is really important. So first off, I do want to say, just as cautionary, if you are working with an agent and they give you advice on what to offer on a property without first trying to connect with the listing agent or the owner, if it's a for sale by owner, they are doing you a huge disservice. That is your number one. I put that above comps, honestly. Your number one way of knowing what you should offer is what your competition is, right? Is this a house that's been sitting on the market for 6 months and previously it was expired 3 times and they just need it gone? Or is this a house where you're up against 30 offers? Those are two very different scenarios. It can be the exact same house, exact same comps. Your situation's exactly the same, but do you have competition or not? Do you or the seller have the upper hand? You need to know that. So it's number one. But something that's really weird happening right now is this phenomena where people seem to be afraid to make offers. Now, if we know it's multiple offer situation, you need your closing costs paid, then yeah, we don't need to be looking at or above your max pre-approval because we're not going to win. But maybe it's a house that's been there for a while and maybe that seller would be willing to come down and you're ruling it out because you think you're not going to get it. So depending on the market, when the market shifts and changes, we always see this weird delay in behavior. So for example, when the market got really hot, really fast, a lot of people were losing out on houses because it's just this mental block that they would not offer at or above asking. Well, when homes are going 50 grand above list price, you can't be afraid to offer more and still get a house. So then you need to assess, are you willing to offer more or is it not your time to buy? And that's okay. But right now, we're seeing the opposite. Homes on the market are still going for about 98% of list price on average. That does include the houses that have sat there forever. That does include luxury properties who have a very small buyer pool, right? And so others are still going above list. And so I am always cautionary with that. You don't want to look at a house that's going to end up being out of your budget, but at the same time, because people have been used to the bidding wars so long, they're afraid to make offers and they're afraid to look at something that might be just a smidge over budget, but maybe they could get it for less. And so that's where sometimes we're seeing houses linger on the market. And there's nothing wrong with the house. But from a seller's perspective, they don't want to go ahead and drop $20,000 immediately because then the buyers go, oh, that's a huge price drop. Maybe I can get it another 20 less. And they're not willing to do 40 under, but maybe they're willing to do that 20 if you brought an offer. So short and sweet, I've had this conversation with a number of sellers, not necessarily those numbers, but that they are looking for offers. So y'all, do not be afraid to offer. This is one of my favorite things I love about investors. It can honestly be a little bit taxing too because they lowball everything. And it's exhausting to write 50 offers that you know aren't going to win. But they do it because sometimes there's that one that you're going to get for less. So I would take that into account if you're looking for yourself, you don't need to go through all of that. That's a whole hassle. But don't rule something out just because it's a little bit more than you want to pay. Go ahead. Don't be afraid to make offers. And of course, when you're doing that, if you have the time, have your agent run comps. See what other homes are going for in the area. If you're considering doing some cosmetic updates, what would your house be worth after that? Did you know that if you buy a house with less than 20% down, you are going to have private mortgage insurance on it? And that is basically just extra money, extra insurance to the lender because they're more likely to have a loss if anything happened and you were foreclosed on. Now, once you hit that 20%, you can request for that to drop off and that'll lower your payment. But you don't have to wait until you've paid that balance down to that 20%. If the market has significantly increased since you purchased, or if you have done updates to your home, those are reasons to go ahead and call the bank and ask for a new appraisal. And you possibly have hit that number without even paying that much yet, just because your home is worth more. So consider that too. A little sidebar. But yeah, if you're looking at buying something, putting some money in it, have them run the numbers of what it would look like after too, so you know how good of an investment you're buying. But of course, it's hard for me because I work in this. I'm always like, what's this going to be worth down the line? But at the end of the day, if you're buying for yourself, it is your home. You want to be comfortable in it. It doesn't really matter what sells the best. It matters how you want to live, right? But y'all, do not be afraid to make offers. If you have any questions on that, if you have specific properties you want me to look at and kind of feel them out, see where we might be able to get on them, I'm always happy to help. Have a great evening.